Time now for the morning rush. The man accused in a deputy-involved shooting is locked up this morning. 2 deputies recovering in hospital. The injuries, non-life-threatening. The shooting took place yesterday when deputies were serving a search warrant. BCSO says the suspect surrendered after a gun battle between him and deputies. Connor.
From now till noon, probably not too many showers, maybe a couple of them in southern New Mexico, clear in Albuquerque. But once we get to 3:30, seeing the clouds in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and eventually once we get towards the commute around sunset, at the latest, we're looking at those storm chances here in Albuquerque between here and Santa Fe. Closer to midnight is when we'll finally see those storms getting down to Tucumcari. David?
All right, thanks a lot, Connor. Breaking overnight, 20 people are dead, dozens more are injured after a suicide bombing nearly levels a hospital in Afghanistan. The Taliban is now claiming responsibility for the blast. The massive blast early this morning forced family members visiting sick loved ones to carry the wounded out in blankets. Now, the blast also badly damaged a fleet of ambulances.
Right now, a boy in Belen is recovering after being hit by a car while riding his bike. His mother offering a reward for information leading to the suspect. Cody David was hit early Monday morning while riding his bicycle. He now has a broken neck, broken ribs, and having trouble speaking. She's asking the driver that hit her son to turn himself in.
This morning, we are getting a new look at a documentary that reveals how a man ended up in prison for murder. In December of 2016, retired Bernalillo County firefighter Don Fluitt was found stabbed to death in his home. Now a documentary from Investigation Discovery takes viewers through the murder case. White was sentenced to 42 years, but still maintains his innocence.
A 6th judge now recusing himself from a state senator's DWI case. The New Mexican Report's Judge Brian Beachshed said it would be difficult to be fair and impartial because of his prior relationship with State Senator Martinez. Martinez is facing aggravated DWI charges. A new judge has yet to be assigned to the case.
State prosecutors say they are joining the opioid settlement with drug maker Purdue Pharma. Purdue recently claimed bankruptcy. Now, under that bankruptcy settlement, Purdue says that it's going to be turning over the company, its assets, and more than $1 billion in cash reserves. The Attorney General's office says settling is the best way to get money for the state and to help those who need treatment resources. U.S.
health officials found New Mexico's mental health services are lacking. That's according to the Journal. The report reveals that less than 1/3 of the licensed behavioral health care providers are in rural areas. Stat standards say behavioral health organizations need to be able to provide urgent appointments within 24 hours or routine appointments within 14 days. The study found most are unable to do so. Connor.
Got the Metro Threat Index for today at a 4. Keep that in mind after work. If you're headed up to the mountains for a hike or something like that, you might want to reconsider things. We're looking at thunderstorms not only for the mountains, but for lower elevations. And the good thing with these storms is that they should be moving in an orderly fashion. So flooding on the lower side, but keep in mind we could see some thunderstorms later on tonight. David?
This morning, the city of Santa Fe ranks 12th on the list when it comes to wildfire risk in the West. Now, the State Forest Office created the Greater Santa Fe Fireshed Coalition to try and resolve that issue, the issues that could make the city more prone to a fire. Now, if there was a fire, a recent study shows that it could be very costly. Vegetation is one of the risks for fire.
Right now, a New Mexico judge is rethinking allowing non-New Mexico residents to have a medical marijuana card in the state. The Journal is reporting state health officials have refused to issue the cards, asking for the ruling to be reversed.
New Mexico district courts are now hoping for more funding for judges and staff. The New Mexican is reporting that within the next year, the 2nd District Court in Albuquerque is hoping for 2 new judges, and 3 other district courts around the state want funding for at least 1 new judge. Now, the request comes amid a personnel shortage and increase in workload.
Albuquerque is waiting for city councilors to okay a plan that could make Nob Hill a little bit cleaner. The city pays a cleaning service to clean litter in downtown. Now the solid waste department wants to spend an additional $500 to move the cleanup effort into Nob Hill. City council will get the final say.
Due this morning, a New Mexico tech startup is getting an investment from Samsung. The New Mexican is reporting that the Santa Fe startup I-Beam Materials received the grant for their work developing LED displays for mobile devices and wearable items. Now, I-Beam has previously received money from the U.S. Department of Energy and worked with Los Alamos and Sandia National Labs.
The owner of a New Mexico business is cashing in on New Mexico's growing film industry. Rose Flores of Pop Balloon says she's just gotten the opportunity to work on a few big productions with some big-name stars, providing balloon arches, bouquets, and columns for film sets. As a small business owner, she says the opportunity to work with the film industry is helping her business grow.
Today, Bernalillo County Metro Court's mobile bench will make a stop at Volcano Vista High School. Judge Victor E. Valdez, who presides over the bench, will sentence a defendant who has pled guilty to DWI. Then, after learning their fate, that person will then address the students about how DWI has impacted their life. Participants will receive credit for community service hours. Connor.
All right, let's get a look at that morning drive. Things are moving along smoothly between I-25 and I-40. Here's a look at the news tracker. It's eastbound on I-40 near Rio Grande. The sun is shining. Things are going to be good so far this morning.
And now you can listen to a new podcast highlighting everything Albuquerque. What's Up ABQ was created by two siblings. They say this is the first time they've had a platform to let locals in the community tell their stories. New episodes are released weekly, online for free. Find a link on our website, KRQE.com.
Here's a look at what we have going on for the rest of today. We're up to 85 degrees by 5 p.m. with the chance for some scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon and also coming up in the evening. So in the meantime, 60s and 70s for the morning. It's going to be feeling good outside. It's time for 5 facts.
At number 5 here, the owner of a small local business raking in big bucks from New Mexico's growing film industry. Rose Flores owns Pop Balloons. You may be thinking balloons don't seem like something set designers are looking for. Think again, though. She's already worked on 2 big productions with some big name stars. On a recent set, she created the backdrop for a high school reunion where she turned part of the set into a winter wonderland. She says this is giving her business more recognition, which means more growth. Analysts say filmmakers are throwing millions of dollars back into our state's economy for things like designing sets, feeding, and even housing their crews.
At number 4 this morning, right now, a New Mexico judge is rethinking allowing non-New Mexico residents to have medical marijuana cards for the state. The Journal is reporting that the state health officials have refused to issue the cards, asking for the ruling to be reversed. Now, health officials say the ruling is not final because it could be held pending an appeal. Now, an attorney says the department should be held in contempt of court for not issuing the cards.
And here it is again. Here's the outline for today. We're going to be starting off with sunny skies in the morning and the afternoon. It's going to be feeling like kind of a normal summer day, especially with the temperatures a little bit on the warmer side. And once we get to noon, we're looking at those afternoon clouds, afternoon thunderstorms over the mountains. And then by 5, 6 o'clock, that's when we finally start looking at some rain chances here in Albuquerque. Particularly so in Santa Fe. So the I-25 corridor should get some showers later on today, and then that front keeps trucking its way down I-40. So eventually, by the time we get closer to 10 p.m. midnight, Tucumcari, Roswell, those areas with some thunderstorm chances. Everyone in the state has a chance of a thunderstorm later on today. It'll just be hit or miss along the valleys, along I-25, and also looking like that might be the same script for tomorrow. Back-to-back days possible in Albuquerque.
At number 2 this morning, a man sentenced to 42 years in prison for murder still says he's innocent. But now we're getting a look at a new documentary that reveals how Terry White ended up behind bars. Now, in December 2016, retired Bernalillo County firefighter Don Fluitt was found stabbed to death in his West Side home. Now, the case was solved in just 3 months. Now, a new documentary from Investigation Discovery takes viewers through the murder case by looking at DNA, a bad alibi, and a confession made to a cellmate. Detectives would discover Terry White, that is Fluitt's ex-wife's new husband, as the suspect.
Number 1 now this morning, 2 deputies are recovering in the hospital. The man accused in the deputy-involved shooting is locked up. The shooting took place yesterday evening. BCSO says deputies were serving a search warrant for drugs near Coors and Montaño when shots were fired. The sheriff says Kenneth Sondergaard fired from inside the house through the door. Deputies then returned fire. BCSO says the suspect eventually surrendered. The deputies' injuries are said to be non-life-threatening.